Right now, 2.2 million Honda and Acura owners are finding out their cars might refuse to restart after stopping at a red light. The feature behind this problem came standard on their vehicles, cost the manufacturer about $275 to install, and you probably have it in your car right now. This is the story of auto start-stop technology, that little button with the A on your dashboard that you've probably been pressing every single time you get in your car. Today I'm going to show you exactly what this feature does to your engine, what it actually costs you over time, why car manufacturers installed it even though they knew you'd hate it, and whether you should be worried about your own vehicle. Auto Start-Stop does exactly what the name suggests, shutting down your engine completely when you come to a stop at a red light, in a drive-thru, or while sitting in traffic. The moment you take your foot off the brake, the engine fires back up in under half a second, with Mazda claiming their system restarts in just 0.35 seconds. Here's where things get interesting though, because your car can't just use regular parts for this kind of abuse. A normal vehicle might start once in the morning and once after work, adding up to maybe 5 or 10 starts per day. Start-stop vehicles sitting in city traffic could be stopping and starting dozens of times during a single commute, potentially hitting hundreds of starts per day for some drivers. That kind of demand forced manufacturers to completely redesign several components, starting with the battery. Start-stop vehicles need something called an AGM battery, which stands for absorbent glass mat, or an EFB battery, because these are designed to handle constant charging and discharging cycles that would kill a regular battery within months. The starter motor tells a similar story. Traditional starters handle about 30,000 to 50,000 start cycles over their lifetime, but start-stop starters need to survive 300,000 to 500,000 cycles. So they use gear reduction systems, special dual-layer carbon copper brushes, and sealed bearings. And this one surprised me, but they actually had to modify the engine itself. Crankshaft bearings get special polymer coatings that act as dry lubricants, because when your engine restarts, there's a fraction of a second before oil pressure builds back up. Without that coating, you'd have metal grinding on metal every single time you stopped at a light. Let's talk about money, because this is where the cheap feature and expensive repair story really comes together. That $200 figure from the title holds up pretty well. Ford charged $295 for start-stop as a standalone option on the 2013 Fusion, and industry estimates put the manufacturing cost around $275. To the automaker, this amounts to a couple $100 feature. What does it cost you over time though? That's the real question. Start with batteries, where a standard lead-acid car battery typically runs between $90 and $225. Those AGM batteries required for start-stop vehicles cost $180 to $450. At AutoZone, a Duralast Platinum AGM for common sizes runs $180 to $250. Luxury vehicles push that even higher, and you could be looking at $375 or more at a dealership when they factor in the mandatory computer coating. Every battery replacement means paying roughly double what someone without start-stop pays, and these batteries need replacing about every 3 to 7 years, with 4 to 5 years being typical. That's actually similar to regular batteries, but each swap costs you $90 to $225 more than it would otherwise, adding up to an extra $180 to $450 just in battery costs over a 10-year ownership period. Starters paint a similar picture. RepairPal puts typical starter replacement at $450 to $600. Honda Civic owners are looking at $490 to $760, and a Toyota Tundra V8 can hit $650 to $900 because the starter sits in a harder spot to reach. Then there are the horror stories. One Dodge Durango owner reported paying $1,250 for starter replacement because the mechanic had to remove the engine mount to reach it. The mechanic checked the logs and found that starter had already completed 36,000 start cycles at only 87,000 miles on the odometer. Add it all up over a 10-year, 150,000-mile ownership period. And it gets worse when you factor in what some owners are actually experiencing with their vehicles. The biggest documented start-stop failure in the industry involves Honda and Acura, and the numbers are staggering. NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has received over 1,348 complaints about Honda's auto idle stop system, with the main problem being engines that simply fail to restart after stopping at a traffic light. Picture sitting at a red light. When it turns green, you take your foot off the brake and nothing happens. Your car sits dead in an intersection with traffic behind you. Some owners reported needing a jump start just to get moving again. What started as an investigation in June 2022 covering just 221 complaints for 2016 through 2019 Honda pilots grew dramatically. By 2024, NHTSA's investigation covered over 2.2 million vehicles across the 2016 through 2025 Honda Pilot, 2018 through 2025 Honda Odyssey, 2019 through 2025 Honda Passport, 2020 through 2025 Honda Ridgeline, 2015 through 2025 Acura TLX, and 2016 through 2025 Acura MDX. The investigation specifically mentions crashes, fires, and injuries associated with these restart failures. A class action lawsuit followed. The case reached preliminary settlement approval in July 2025. Owners covered by the settlement get free valve adjustments and starter motor replacements, and dealers can no longer require you to replicate the problem before fixing it. Anyone who already paid for repairs out of pocket can get reimbursed, and there's a 10-year warranty extension with unlimited mileage for anything related to the idle stop system. Honda also issued technical service bulletins covering starter and relay replacements plus valve adjustments for affected models. Some owners reported premature battery failure as early as 30,000 miles on these vehicles, which is practically nothing. When people ask me if start-stop reliability concerns are overblown, I point them to 2.2 million vehicles under federal investigation. You might be wondering, if so many drivers dislike this feature, why is it on almost every new car? The answer isn't because drivers asked for it, it's because of government regulation. The EPA provides something called off-cycle credits to automakers who include start-stop technology. These credits help manufacturers meet their corporate average fuel economy requirements, known as CAFE standards, and that makes their overall fleet look more fuel efficient on paper. Here's the catch though. To get those credits, the system has to be non-latching, which is a technical term meaning it must default to on every single time you start your car, and drivers cannot permanently disable it. That explains why pressing that A-off button only works until you turn off your car. Next time you start up, the system comes back on. If manufacturers allowed permanent disabling, the EPA would test vehicles both ways and average the results, lowering the official fuel economy rating. A Ford spokesman explained this directly back in 2018. EPA regulations incentivize the technology because it has fuel economy benefits not fully captured on standard tests. But to qualify for those incentives, start-stop must be the predominant operating mode, meaning drivers can't permanently turn it off. European regulations drove even earlier adoption. EU rules set mandatory CO2 targets of 130 grams per kilometer in 2015, tightening to 95 grams per kilometer by 2021. Missing those targets meant fines of €95 per gram per kilometer per vehicle registered, adding up to billions of dollars for major manufacturers. By 2011, projections showed start-stop appearing in 50% of European vehicles. By 2013, over 70% of newly launched European models included it. American adoption went from just 9% of vehicles in 2016 to approximately 65% by 2022 and 2023, which means nearly two-thirds of all new cars sold. The bottom line here is that this feature exists primarily to help manufacturers meet fuel economy regulations, not because customers asked for it. So does it really save fuel? The system does save fuel. That part is true. The real question is how much. AAA tested this back in 2014 using a Ford Fusion, Mercedes CLS 550, and Chevy Malibu Eco. Using the EPA's urban driving cycle, they found 5 to 7% improvement in fuel economy. At 15,000 miles per year, 20 miles per gallon, and $3.65 per gallon, that could translate to up to $179 in annual savings. A 2023 technical paper from the Society of Automotive Engineers measured 7.27% improvement on the Federal City test cycle. On the New York City cycle, which simulates extreme stop-and-go traffic, they recorded 26.4% improvement. The EPA acknowledges start-stop improves fuel economy by 4 to 5%, but only for city driving. Highway driving shows almost no benefit because your engine isn't idling at stoplights anyway. The interesting thing is that 40% of drivers at least temporarily disable the feature. If you're pressing that button every time you get in your car, you're getting zero fuel savings while still having all the expensive components that might fail. Is this technology actually bad for your engine? That's where experts genuinely disagree. On the critical side, Scotty Kilmer, a YouTube mechanic with over 6 million subscribers, has called start-stop technology the dumbest thing that's come out in years and argues that 97% of engine wear happens when you start the car. His advice is to disable it whenever possible. One certified Honda master technician commented anonymously that the auto stop start feature isn't worth it and that it does wear out your starter and battery faster. Defenders of the technology point to engineering improvements though. Magnus Ellen, a certified automotive diagnostic technician and founder of Mechanic Base, says there's no proof that automatic start-stop wears out the starter motor or other engine parts faster than usual. The system only operates when the engine runs hot and starts easily, he points out, and manufacturers upgraded engine bearings to handle 250,000 to 300,000 start cycles. The engineering argument makes sense when you think about it. Start-stop restarts happen under ideal conditions with a warm engine, oil already circulating, stable battery voltage, and hot fuel that evaporates instantly. This differs completely from a cold start in the morning, where most real engine wear occurs. Consumer Reports' Alex Nizek offered a balanced view. If you're constantly on the highway and the engine never shuts off, your fuel savings will be much lower, he said. But if you do a lot of city driving with frequent idling, there are legitimate fuel reductions. He also acknowledged what everyone knows, that plenty of drivers find start-stop systems irritating and hit the off switch the moment the engine turns over. A 2024 UK survey found 27% of drivers don't use start-stop because it's actively annoying. In May 2025, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin announced intentions to eliminate start-stop incentives entirely, calling the feature, and I'm quoting here, a climate participation trophy that everyone hates. December 2025 brought a NHTSA proposal to remove the off-cycle credits for start-stop beginning with model year 2028. If that happens, manufacturers lose the main incentive to include this feature. Some manufacturers already quietly removed start-stop from certain models during the 2021 through 2023 chip shortage. Ford eliminated it from the Raptor, and the 2024 Mazda CX-5 and CX-50 reportedly lack the feature. If incentives disappear, car makers face a real choice between keeping something many customers actively dislike or removing it entirely. BMW already allows the system to remember its last setting between ignition cycles, so you can effectively disable it permanently if you want. For everyone else, the aftermarket sells devices called auto stop eliminators ranging from $26 to $199 that automatically disable the system every time you start your car, available for Ford, GM, Stellantis, Subaru, Kia, and Hyundai vehicles. As electric vehicles become more common, this entire debate becomes irrelevant anyway. EVs don't have a combustion engine to stop and restart in the first place. Let's bring this back to where we started. City drivers who do lots of stop-and-go commuting might see the math work in their favor. Highway drivers are probably paying more in maintenance than they'll ever save in fuel. If you drive a Honda Pilot, Odyssey, Passport, Ridgeline, or an Acura TLX or MDX from certain model years, you might want to look into that class action settlement. Over 2 million vehicles are covered, and you could be eligible for free repairs and warranty extensions. The key questions to ask yourself are how much city driving you actually do, whether your specific vehicle has documented start-stop complaints, and whether you're already hitting that disable button every time you get in your car. Because if you are, you're getting none of the benefits while still having all the potential downsides. This feature exists because it helped car manufacturers meet government fuel economy standards, not because you asked for it. Now that those regulations are changing, we might finally see the industry respond to what drivers have been saying all along. If this video helped you understand your vehicle better, consider subscribing. If you've had your own experience with start-stop feature, good or bad, drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching.